Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy CL Anthony and my main man Bryce Ward of the Hardwood Nation, and we are the Hardwood Nation's podcast. Bryce, what's going on?
Oh, same as every week, man. Just glad to be here talking about the NBA.
We're almost there. We are almost
hmm
there. This is the last week of preseason. This is another week where we had us a Ben Simmons story. Like we cannot put this story to bed, apparently. Okay, so Joel Embiid said what he had to say last week. He's been quiet this week, but apparently word is now is that Ben Simmons didn't think the Sixers were going to withhold the first $8.2 million of his new contract. How you feel about Ben Simmons being a little nervous right now?
Uh, I'm a little surprised because I thought with seemingly the stand he was taking, it seemed like this would have been a big possibility in his head to me. I was like, everybody thought this was a possibility. Especially that's why we said early on in your contract that the team has all the power. They're just not going to pay him.
Right, right.
And another exec said they can't pay him. It would set the precedent like too far on that side if they went ahead and did what he said this early on in the contract, and it makes sense. You can't cave in. Um, so he should his people whoever is advising him should have said, "Hey, this is definitely can happen." And for him to be surprised and to think it actually got this far, I don't understand the surprise on his part. So um, this is going to be a topic of conversation until Philly and Ben Simmons come to some kind of conclusion. I mean, even when if it gets to regular season, he's not playing, which is right around the corner. I mean, it's still going to be the talk of the Philly season. So he shouldn't be surprised. I'm surprised he's surprised if that's the case.
Well, it was funny. It was a funny news report because it's like, what did you think was going to happen? We've been documenting this for weeks at how it's not pro Ben Simmons. Like, it doesn't make sense for him to even do this. So the fact that he's surprised that the Sixers wouldn't pay him, like, what did you expect? Again, if you're at the towards the end of your deal, yeah, I get it. But you're at the beginning of your deal. You have absolutely no power, and as you've said many times, you don't even have the clout in the NBA to pull off such a feat that you're trying to do right now. I'm telling you, as of right now, I don't know how this is going to end, but I think it's going to look bad for Ben Simmons either way. The Sixers are going to be fine. The teams are always there. The player though is going to come out the worst for wear with this.
Yeah, I agree.
So hopefully we can put a period on this very soon. But like I said, he has absolutely no power, and it's kind of asinine that he was caught off guard by the Sixers not paying him the first portion of his contract. So let's see when the next portion is due, and let's see what happens at that time, right?
Yeah.
So here's another funny story of the week. So New York apparently changed the rules a little bit due to the Nets being a private organization. They're a private sector organization under the NBA's banner. So now that means Kyrie can actually practice with the team. So how do you feel about New York making this change in the rules?
Well, it's in hindsight, I think it's a little funny because we know the kind of clout those players have with the team, the Brooklyn Nets as a team.
Right.
Especially after that book came out. It's like apparently it extends higher. It extends to the whole city. They're like, yeah, sorry, we didn't think about basketball players. Y'all can just do whatever you want. I saw Brooklyn has a big open court outside practice facility where a lot of the fans got to go watch some of the practices. So I think that's kind of interesting, regardless of what's going on, to have kind of an open outside practice once in a while, or at least a facility that fans can go and watch. I think that's pretty cool. But I mean, Brooklyn is jumping through hoops for this guy, and I don't know. It's like maybe some of the guys are accommodating all this, and then a few of the other guys are scrambling looking for deals. I don't know, but we definitely know Brooklyn so far has bent over backwards for at least Durant and Kyrie. So I'm a little surprised that the city took the stance it did.
Mm,
Um, I mean, how they're justifying it, I guess, it just seems kind of odd to me. But
mm.
I mean, good for Brooklyn, good for Kyrie, because I definitely want to see him play.
Yeah,
So it's just surprising.
it definitely works in their favor because the practice piece was going to be an underlining piece for the season too. Okay, you can't play in home games, plus you can't practice. So it's like, how do you build continuity? So this does help them out tremendously. And whoever did the wink wink deal, kudos to them. Kudos to them for making at least that part happen. Um, but who knows? Maybe Kyrie does what they want him to do and take the jab. Maybe not, but at least this is a move in the right direction. So he'll be able to practice with the team and stay in shape. He'll never be in game shape because he's not out there playing, but he'll at least be in some kind of cardiovascular shape. One thing I want to say that you mentioned earlier about the outdoor practice, I didn't know about that, so I would have loved to see that myself. It is something that the NBA is looking at as far as having actual games outside at some points of the season in the future. So that's something that they're looking at, not for this season, but down the line, let's say a few seasons down the line. The NBA is actually looking at that. So outdoor basketball games. So that count, of course.
That'd be cool.
Can you imagine like the All
That'd be
Star game
interesting.
being outdoors?
That'd be fun. I mean, you think there, of course, there would be some type of issue once in a while, but I mean, um, a lot of other professional sports have. I mean, tennis. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you could do it. You know, they play on courts too. So I mean, outside of maybe a rain delay somewhere one time, I think it would be pretty interesting to have that.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
the
I think
fans would enjoy it as well.
it'd be a good look and it'd be a great visual. It's ironic because this is something kind of similar. I know me and you were both wrestling fans. I know when you were a kid, you used to watch WCW. Do you remember when they used to host their shows and at Walt Disney World, they would have the ring outside?
I think I may have remember seeing that once or twice.
They did that for like a summer, and the funny thing about that is, I just heard Eric Bischoff say that he absolutely hated doing it outside because it would muffle the crowd noise. So you would have the crowd, but the sounds would just go out, go out into the open air. So it'll sound like no one was actually there, even though you could see the crowd. So I don't know from a crowd standpoint how the outdoor games would translate on TV, but visually, it'd be absolutely beautiful if they get the right camera angles. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it might just be where they're holding them as well. I mean, like I said, in like tennis venues and stuff, they're not exactly like just open. They're in
Right,
an
right.
arena or something that's just has the top open that's meant to amplify
Dude,
everything. That's how I would envision it, I guess, not just like an open area. But
dude, they have Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York, Flushing. Can you imagine like the Knicks playing the Brooklyn Nets at Arthur Ashe Stadium, like which is like one of the biggest tennis courts in the world, like tennis stadiums in the world? Dude, that'd be sick.
that's what I'm saying. That would be amazing.
Right, that'd be absolutely amazing. All right, we're moving right along today. So, do you have any thoughts so far with preseason with what we've seen? Have you seen anything, any highlights that impressed you so far?
Um, I mean, I like. I get we're coming into a very interesting rookie class that just came in. We were talking about it the other day. They have the possibility to have some of the most potential and talented players in one
Hmm.
draft that we've seen in quite some time. And of course, paying even closer attention to my Magic. The limited minutes I've seen Suggs play so far, I still call it the whole scope of what we've seen from him limited minutes because he's still so new. But um, I love, I still love everything I see from this guy. I mean, he was shooting, he drained a three. It looked like between 3 point land and the logo or the center court. He had a block on Tatum in one game. He had a couple blocks that game total. I just love everything I see from him. Um, despite what happens when Fultz and Isaac come back to the lineup. I think the way this coach is running the team, that he's going to find ways or try to find the best ways for all these guys to get a good run. And I think Jalen Suggs brings enough to the table, regardless, that we're going to see quite a few minutes from him. So specifically, just continuing to see Suggs play physically in the way he does has been nice. And I know you were talking about you got to see Houston's rookie the other day, and you liked what you saw from him.
Yeah, Jalen Green, he's ready. He's something else. Still has to fill out, but that's when any rookie, has to fill out a little bit. But from an attacking standpoint, from a slashing standpoint, from a 3-point shooting standpoint, because I believe he hit 3 or 4 threes that game. And even Kevin Porter Jr., who was his backcourt mate, who was another young good player. The Rockets have the potential. I mean, they're going to be trash this year, but they're going to learn how to win, but they have the potential, I believe, in 3 to 4 years to have something solid there if they can convince another guy to come down there, an old head to come down there and help them out. So it's unfortunate that Harden didn't want to stick around for that because, like I said, in 3 to 4 years, these young kids may actually be something nice. And the Rockets have the potential to be very, very, very explosive offensively. So um, I can't wait to see them mature, kind of like with the Orlando Magic. Um, One thing that stood out with me as far as my preseason experience so far with the Miami Heat is that the pace that Kyle Lowry is pushing the offense is unlike anything we've seen since almost since Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm sorry, just Tim Hardaway when he was running our offense back in the day. Um, Tyler Hero is actually playing pretty well, and I'm trying not to get too excited about it. I apologized to Kevin last week because I bashed Tyler Hero all off season. We all know that, but I'm trying to stay even, like trying to stay
Mhm.
even. But if a fraction of this Tyler goes into the regular season, wow, because he's a little stronger, he's a little more confident, shot has a little more flow to it, and he's playing under control while averaging, I believe, 25 points a game this preseason. So, I mean, of course, a lot of our premier guys haven't played a lot, so he's been featured. But that's good for him to help build his confidence. So the Heat are 3-0 right now in the preseason. Like they're playing fantastic basketball. So yeah, I'm trying to stay even, but I see Heat Nation on Twitter. I see y'all. They turning up, man. They turning up. They getting ready.
No, I mean for good reason though. I mean, a lot of people said you guys had the best off season somehow. I think you guys are up there, and I think currently built. And if you're healthy, you're easily I think top five in the East. And so, in my eyes, Tyler Hero's doing what he should be. It's his third year. We should see some more progression from him. A lot. You see that sophomore slump with a lot of guys. Plus, the Heat as a whole had that fat cat syndrome, like the Lakers, and the short turnaround. Just it wasn't a good year for a lot of people on both those teams, let alone the entire NBA. Of course, like we've said a lot. This season holds a lot of potential for teams to be healthy, and there's a lot of exciting teams out there. The Heat being one of them. The East is going to be a dogfight, like we always said, but it seems like there's more talent in the East as well. The Bulls look poised to really make a statement this year. The Knicks should be able to continue as well as Atlanta to just get a little bit better. Plus, Knicks upgraded their guard situation. Charlotte, more continuity plus healthy. A lot of this is going to stem from players being healthy, of course, like every year. But right now, it seems like this could be one of the most exciting competitive NBA seasons we've had in a while. So I'm excited, and I think your Heat look great right now on paper. So they're going to be a team that people shouldn't sleep on, like a few years ago when they made it to the finals,
Right? Yeah,
in my opinion.
I definitely agree that it's a different feel. And like I said, I know it's just preseason, and I've only seen halves of the starters because they've only been playing the first half for the majority of the time. I've only seen half games of it, but it's different. And the passes that Kyle Lowry have been hitting Bam Adebayo with, Dwayne Dedman with, even Jimmy Butler, the precise passes he's been hitting those guys with on the run, almost half court passes, is something that we're not used to. The Miami Heat were second last season, second to the last in pace. We were slow. We played slow. The slowest team was New York. Now, ironically, but both of those teams were still in the playoffs and still good defensively, but they played slow offensively, and that didn't help us out in the playoffs. So the change with Kyle Lowry being there is like you can just see it. It's instant, and it's like so much energy. And the other day, him and PJ Tucker were getting after the referee like in a preseason game. It was just like they were
Yeah.
getting onto him, and I was just like, "This is new. I like this." I like
You,
this. So I'm pretty impressed so far with what we've done in the preseason, and I still need to catch Chicago. I was planning on doing it the other night, and I'm old, so I went to bed early, but I still have to catch Chicago because they've been putting up some great numbers as well. Um, so I,
you guys also have a little ace up your sleeve with Oladipo, and
mhm.
if he can come back healthy, is there when is he projected to come back?
They haven't put a timetable on it, but they said he will be back sooner than later. I watched the interview that Oladipo did with my man Tobin down there, and what he said was is that even though the doctors cleared him previously and said he was healthy, he wasn't healthy. He knew he wasn't healthy, but since they said he was cleared, he went with it. And then that's when we found out, hey, he needs to undergo surgery again. So that was unfortunate. That was really unfortunate, because he shouldn't have played
Do
last
you,
season, to be honest with you.
do you think we're looking at like pre or after Christmas?
I think around Christmas. And we're going to bring him back extremely slow. But at the pace that they're running, and here's the thing: we went to the finals without Oladipo, so Oladipo is a 1,000% bonus at this point. If we can have a healthy Oladipo towards the end of the season, running with Kyle Lowry at the pace that we're running, so you have Lowry, Oladipo on one wing, Jimmy Butler on the other wing, Bam in the center, and then one of our shooters. That's devastating. That's absolutely devastating. So, and it's going to be hard for teams to contend with that. So I'm not counting on him as of yet because I feel like we have enough without him. But Lord, if he can get out there and be just a fraction of himself, good Lord, especially more so on the defensive end too. Um, so the Heat might surprise some
Right.
people
I
this
mean,
year.
the hope is you get. They shouldn't though. That's my thing is you guys on paper are as good and already better than your finals team because of the upgrade through Kyle Lowry. But then also, that's why I said that's the ultimate ace up your sleeve because if you can make it back or into the Eastern Conference Finals and then also add Oladipo to that, that's a really dangerous team.
Right,
That's really
right,
that's a
right.
championship team, really. So I'm saying it right now. Nobody should be sleeping on the Heat, and I think with some of the preseason polls and stuff, I don't think people are necessarily sleeping on you guys the way they did 2 years ago.
Yeah,
And nobody should. So,
I just want to
I mean, on
stay.
paper, you guys look great.
I want to stay even. I don't want to get too high. I don't want to get too low. Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, she said something that really resonated, which made sense. Where she was like, "This team is built for a 7 game series." So we know the Heat are generally, even though last year was different, generally the Heat are a tough out anyway. But this team is built for a fucking 7 game series. You don't want to see those guys. You don't want to see them looking across from you as opponents in Game 7 anywhere. So that I can get. Um,
Yeah.
so as we know, this is the NBA's 75th season. There's going to be a lot of celebration this season, and they released their commercial, which they called it a mini movie, but they released their new commercial, the NBA Lane commercial, which had an abundance of NBA greats. What did you think when you first saw the commercial?
I said, man, Michael B. Jordan's everywhere. That's what I said immediately. I said, they love this guy.
I mean, they had to have a Michael Jordan in it, right? Since the other one wasn't there. We'll get on that a little later.
I guess that's all of Hollywood right now. They're like, Space Jam just had Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, so I had to watch it like 3 times to really catch everyone. Who kind of surprised you that was in the NBA Lane commercial?
Um, uh, Nobody really surprised me. I felt like from the almost the beginning, it was like I guess I was surprised when the first newer players showed up. I thought it was just going to be like legends because I think it started off with a few of those. I can't remember. I was surprised when it showed like Westbrook and then some of the younger guys that had in it as well. But I mean, nothing really surprised me. I just enjoyed the overall theme and the all the players that did make it into it. I was surprised at how many total was really in
Oh
it, but
yeah,
I enjoyed it.
yeah. It was great. It was fascinating. There were some quick shots that I actually saw stills of where they actually showed jerseys of players. I hope there's a longer
Hmm.
cut somewhere because the shot was so quick in the commercial you couldn't see it. But they acknowledged some other players like Clyde Drexler, Alonzo Mourning. Um, I'm surprised as always that Michael Jordan wasn't in this commercial. They showed his picture on the wall, but I feel like for a celebration like this, Michael had to be there. I don't know the specifics behind the scenes. So Michael not being there surprised me. And then also Charles Barkley not being there surprised me too. So I don't know what really is going on with that. I don't recall seeing any acknowledgement of John Stockton or Karl Malone. There's so many greats, it's hard to fit them all in that commercial. Now
Hmm.
they did have some good ideas because there was a couple of shots where they had murals of players. Now they could have had a mural of all the other guys. Now that would have been great. Um, but yeah, I didn't mind them having the young guys. So they had Westbrook, they had Booker, they had my little cousin Lamelo Ball in there. I didn't mind that because it's a celebration of the whole league. My favorite shot was Dirk and Kareem. That that just
Mm.
that just touched my heart. Um, those two together, Kareem telling him to let it slide off his fingers because those two had two of the most unstoppable shots in the history of the NBA. So those two sitting together was really nice. Of course, Magic waving at Larry.
Yeah, I thought
Of
that was
course,
funny.
you know I love D Wade. You know that.
Hmm.
The Kobe scene when the bus stopped, I had no idea what was going to happen, so I didn't know. Like I knew nothing about this commercial. So when the Kobe scene happened with Devin Booker, that was nice. Booker got permission from Vanessa Bryant to do that, so that was absolutely fantastic. Especially knowing him, he's the second coming of Kobe. And then also Gary Payton, Isaiah
Hmm.
Thomas. It was fantastic. Rip Hamilton was in there, you know, Jay. It was just great. So and Bill Walton. Gotta
Yeah.
love Bill Walton, right?
Hmm.
But are you surprised Michael wasn't in that? Because you know we have this little theory about Michael and LeBron. Are you
Well,
surprised?
no, because I'm not surprised when Michael's not in anything. He's just kind of, I don't know, and it could just be a money thing. Like I don't know how much they're trying to offer these people, or what. Like we don't know what that part of any of this is like. Barkley, like I don't think they can use, they don't get to use Barkley's likeness in like video games and stuff because
They
he
didn't for
doesn't
a while,
think.
yeah.
I think the story is he doesn't like think they get a cut of that, or they don't something. I'm not sure exactly. I just know Barkley's also like doesn't participate sometimes in things like that. So, no, I'm not really surprised either one of them wasn't in it.
Another good scene that had a lot of symbolism was LeBron James scene where he dropped the seeds onto the ground, planting the seeds for
Hmm.
the future of the league. So that was a great scene to it. I dug that. I got that message. I dug it. So all in all, it was a great commercial. Like I said, I wish it was like they could have did a mini movie, like 30 minutes of it. And then Jerry West. How can I forget about Jerry West? Um, the logo. So it
Hmm.
was fantastic, and kudos to the league for doing that. One of LeBron homeboys actually shot the commercial, and he's a huge Lakers fan, so that's why you had Carmelo Anthony, LeBron, AD,
Hmm.
Westbrook, because he grew up a Lakers fan. So yeah, and even Kareem and Magic. So, but no Shaq, no Shaq either. Dude, I
Yeah, I
don't even
know.
think, dude, I don't even think when they flashed on the pictures on the wall, they didn't even have Shaq's picture there. So that was there was some interesting stuff in there. Um,
Hmm.
Very
I'm
interesting
surprised at
stuff.
that one. That's probably the
Yeah.
one I'm most surprised at. Maybe you just missed it. Maybe it's in
I'm
there
gonna watch it
somewhere. I don't
again.
know.
I'm gonna watch as soon as we get done. I'm gonna watch it again. So real quick to put a cap on that, some publications have released a list. Their version of the 75 list. And here's the thing. So there's already been chatter online where people are like, okay, who's one, who's two. This list isn't a ranking of 1 through 75. They're not doing it that way. They're just saying these are the top 75 players in the history of the NBA. So some people out there, some of the young heads who think, hey, they're going to rank 1 through 75. That's not what this is. The NBA in no
Mhm.
way, shape, or form is going to do that. They're just going to say, here's 75 players. They're the best, period. So everybody can calm down. They're not saying Michael's going to be first. They're not saying LeBron's going to be first.
Well, good. They don't want to add. They don't need to add like heat to themselves, and that
Right,
argument only adds heat
right,
to the
right, right.
argument in itself, in my opinion. So yeah, leave that alone. They're doing
I
it.
think,
That's how I would do it. I
mhm.
wouldn't even open myself up for the scrutiny.
Yeah, no, they're not doing it that way. I think USA Today is the biggest publication that did a list. I haven't seen it yet, so I definitely need to look at it and see because I know people were arguing about Shaq not being in a top 10 or not. Uh,
Hmm.
if I was to do a list, he would be in my top 10 because he was that dominant. And some people are going to get their feelings hurt. Some people you do have to move down a list or take off a list. So um, we're gonna find out real soon. I don't know the
Yeah,
exact release date, but we're gonna find out really really soon. All right, so moving right along. I did a fan poll on Twitter, Bryce. We like talking to our fans, and once again, thank you to our subscribers. Thank you to all followers of the Hardwood Nation's Twitter
yes,
feed
thank you.
that we've been growing and still growing all week. The question this week was, who do fans think at this point in time are going to win the NBA championship? And of course, we'll revisit this throughout the season. So I gave four choices: the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks, because you got to give them in there, got to get them in there for respect. The Los
Hmm.
Angeles Lakers, the Brooklyn Nets, and I did other. So because we are a nation, so we have tons of fans. So let me ask you first. Of those four options, who do you think won this fan vote? And no cheating. Don't look at the Twitter feed.
I'm not. I'm gonna guess Brooklyn probably won,
You're going to be shocked at this.
unless it's okay. Let's
I'm
hear it.
going to
What
tell
is
you.
it?
I'm going to tell you. You're going to be shocked. I'm going to start from bottom to top. Okay. So from number four to number one. So 5% of our hardwood nation said that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to repeat this year. I thought that number was extremely low. Okay. 5%. 14% of our nation said the Brooklyn Nets are going to win a championship. How shocked are
Oh,
you with that?
I'm surprised.
27% of our nation said that another team is going to win the championship outside of Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and the Lakers. So that means
Hmm.
54% of our hardwood nation has chosen the Los Angeles Lakers to win the NBA championship this season. That gives me hope.
Me too. I'm surprised, because it just seems like a lot of, I don't know, it seems like a lot of people are still leaning towards Brooklyn,
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
right, right.
But on like what we've talked about and how we've seen the situation, we've definitely leaned heavily towards our favorites being the Lakers.
Yes,
So I guess the people who do keep up with us a little bit seem to agree with us.
yes. I'm extremely happy that they picked, and we're not Lakers fans. We've documented that many a times. But from 1 through 15 on paper, as of right now, they have the most complete team. So this speaks highly of our fan base because okay, we got some highly intelligent fans who don't necessarily go off of emotion. Now, as the season progresses, I'm going to revisit this question again, and if another team rises up, I'll add them to the list because that 27% for other, which was still higher than the 14% for Brooklyn, is really interesting as well because there's dude, there's 30 teams, so of course our nation is spread across the entirety of the NBA. So I want to see who these other teams are that these people voted
Mhm.
for. So, so
Well,
we're gonna.
I also I also saw, not that I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No,
I
you're fine.
just, before we did anything else, I did see Trevor Ariza already caught, like, or is already slightly injured, or is it injured in some way.
Yeah,
And then before I could, like, even read the headline, I go, this is where people are gonna start saying this is where the old people are starting to get hurt. And then, like,
right.
the title of the article was, "Is this the beginning of injuries for the old Los Angeles Lakers team?" And I was like, here it is.
Jesus
I was
Christ.
like, so they're gonna, but that's a real thing. It's not like it's not a real critique. The
Hmm.
older you are, the more likely you are, if you get heavy run, to get an injury. So
Right.
it's going to be a valid criticism throughout the year as they have problems, if they continue to have problems. So I just thought, I was like, oh, here's the beginning of it. It's right here, Trevor Ariza.
Yeah,
So we'll
it,
see.
it it's starting. It's starting. I want to give a shout out to my man because I know we're gonna wrap up soon. But I want to give a shout out to my man that we had a Twitter debate with the other day as far as the shooting validity of Damian Lillard versus Reggie Miller, and he had some good points. I can't remember his name. I would definitely say his name. He had some good points, but I shied away for years from debating people on basketball acumen because I've seen now I'm on my third generation of basketball players, and I didn't want to waste my time debating the people who've seen one and who've seen two,
Uh-huh.
where I've seen three, right? So, but I will say he had some good points. Damian Lillard is a fantastic NBA player, MVP candidate, but on a shot for shot basis, Reggie Miller would shoot him out of the building. But nothing would change my mind about that. Is Reggie Miller the greatest shooter I've ever seen? No. Is he a better shooter than Damian Lillard, shot for shot? Yes. Is Damian Lillard a better overall player? Yes. So I just want to put that.
Yeah.
I just want to put that to bed. Um, but yeah, I'm open to debate this season, and one day we're gonna have some fans on here to debate us about this stuff. Who's better than who and stuff like that. So I just thought that was interesting since you asked me about Reggie Miller a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely interesting.
Yes. Any last words, Bryce?
Nothing that I can think of. I mean, we're right before the season is actually getting started. We just have some preseason, of course, like we talked about, but hopefully everybody just stays healthy. That's all I want, is for teams to be healthy and to have all their players.
Hey,
So
Bryce.
it's going to be a fun season. Yeah.
Hey, brother, I got a deal for you. So our fantasy draft is going to be next Sunday, probably after we record. So I'll give you the first pick of the draft if you draft James Harden.
No, I don't make deals.
See, I want to know how much of our nation though would take that deal because Hardwood Nation,
Probably
please
lots of
let us
people.
know. Drop a comment below. Please let us know. In your fantasy draft, would you take James Harden with the first pick? We want to know because I'm offering Bryce a chance to do so.
Even if I decided to do that, I still wouldn't take your deal. I just need the luck of the draw. That's all I need.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast. Everyone stay safe.